And thank you all for being with us today. It's been approximately a month since I visited a federal detention facility in McAllen and saw firsthand the human tragedy unfolding along our southern border. The plight of these unaccompanied alien children has rightfully captured the national attention as we learn the details of their harrowing journeys. Equally as concerning, however, is the fact that unaccompanied children only make up 20% of those apprehended crossing the border illegally. And as the brave men and women of our Border Patrol are pulled away from their law enforcement duties to give humanitarian aid, drug cartels, human traffickers, individual criminals are exploiting this tragedy for their own criminal opportunities. Over the years, I have repeatedly called on the federal government to live up to its responsibility of protecting this great nation by securing the border. Because if there is no national security, you cannot have that without border security. Since 2008, more than 203,000 criminal aliens have been booked into Texas county jails. Over the course of their criminal careers, these individuals have committed more than 640,000 crimes. And that is in the state of Texas alone. This includes more than 3,000 homicides and almost 8,000 sexual assaults. Thousands of lives have been impacted forever, all because the federal government's lip service and empty promises. I will not stand idly by while our citizens are under assault and little children from Central America are detained in squalor. We are too good a country for that to occur. That is why today I am using my executive authority as governor of Texas and activating the National Guard. I've directed Adjutant General John Nichols to immediately prepare for deployment up to 1,000 of his troops in support of the Department of Public Safety's ongoing surge operation. It is codenamed Operation Strong Safety all along the border region. Prior to Operation Strong Safety, Texas has already invested $500 million in border security. That is a burden that Texas taxpayers should not have to burden themselves with. But as all of the Texans who have fallen victim to the crime at hand of these criminal aliens will attest to, the price of inaction is too high for Texans to pay. Now, fortunately, we're already seeing results from Operation Strong Safety. From week 1 to week 3, apprehensions have dropped 36%, from more than 6,600 per week to 4,200 per week in that area of operation. This is a clear indication that the increased patrol presence and the coordinated law enforcement efforts between our local, state, and federal partners, including the Department of Public Safety personnel, our Texas Parks and Wildlife wardens, and others, are having a deterrent effect on criminal and illegal activity along the border. The National Guard troops that I am deploying will support the state-led border surge by acting as a force multiplier on the ground and providing additional air assets beyond their current efforts. These additional resources will help combat the brutal Mexican drug cartels that are preying upon our communities, and also will help deter others before they have a chance to harm our citizens and become criminal aliens within our borders. I want to ask a number of individuals to say a few words about this. We're going to lay out the operational plan for you, and Steve McCraw, the Director of Public Safety, will do that for you. Director?
In accordance with this order by Governor Perry, we'll begin closely coordinating with General Nichols and the Texas National Guard. It's important to note that we already work with the Texas National Guard on a number of operations directly related to border security. We'll integrate these additional troops into ongoing state-led border security surge operation, Operation Strong Safety. It's a multi-agency initiative. It's designed to conduct saturation patrols and to deny cartels, transnational gangs, and criminal aliens access to Texas between the ports of entry. At the direction of the Governor, Lieutenant Governor, and Speaker, last month, the Department of Public Safety increased the number of troopers, agents, and Texas Rangers along the border to conduct sustained 24/7 operations on the ground, on the river, and above the river. Time and again, the state has proven that when we boost our patrol presence and coordinate around-the-clock efforts with our law enforcement partners on the border, we can substantially obstruct the ability of Mexican cartels and other criminal elements to exploit the remote stretches of border in that area of operation. Therefore, the Governor was ordered to deploy the Texas National Guard in direct support of these state efforts led by the Department of Public Safety in close coordination with our local partners. It's important to mention our local law enforcement partners. Also important to mention the Border Patrol and the great job that they do. But our efforts to enhance our ability to deter, detect criminal activity occurring along the border. And while we recognize that the Mexican cartels and other criminal aliens are exploiting the fact that many of these brave men and women of Border Patrol are focused on unaccompanied children, I can assure you that Border Sector Chief Kevin Oakes, Raul Ortiz, his deputy, and his men and women are doing a tremendous job in terms of force multiplying in that area of operation. It's important to reiterate that Operation Strong Safety is focused on combating the cartels, their criminal associates, in seeking to penetrate the Texas-Mexico border, and this joint effort with our Border Patrol and local partners. We know that the Mexican cartels continue to use our state as a transshipment center. Right now, the area of operation, Rio Grande Valley, is the center of gravity for Mexican drug and human smuggling into Texas and throughout the nation. We also know that they are transporting cash, guns, and stolen vehicles back to Mexico. Their principal drugs, marijuana, cocaine, heroin, and even methamphetamine. They dominate the methamphetamine market right now throughout the nation. They also commit a variety of crimes. These crimes are heinous in Texas, including homicides, contract killings. We had 43 to date, sexual assault, kidnappings, and extortions. In fact, other crimes that occur is home invasions. We've had 122 home invasions. We've had extortions of undocumented aliens, over 3,005 victims that we can document in the last 2 years. 74 human stash houses, 92 drug stash houses in the area of operation, 340 felony pursuits, and also 337 bailouts. And you don't know what that is. It puts illegal aliens at higher risk when they go to our ranchers' land and bail out and leave them in their jeopardy. We also know that these same thugs are using terror tactics in Mexico. They've adopted a terrorism strategy de facto, murdering Mexican police, military officials, priests, politicians, journalists, and tens of thousands of Mexican citizens, torturing and decapitating their victims and other imaginable acts just to make money. These ruthless and relentless enemies are threats to the national security of the United States and Mexico. The enemy of Mexico is the enemy of ours. As the governor mentioned, we know that many who are smuggled through our border end up in our jails after committing terrible crimes against the people of Texas. We call them criminal aliens. And we know, as the governor talked about since 2008, how many have entered Texas and committed crimes on Texas, non-immigration crimes, and booked into Texas jails. The most recent update I have is from April to June. That's a 3-month period. 8,496 criminal aliens were booked into Texas jails. Includes 35 homicides, 143 sexual assaults, 99 robberies, 321 burglaries, and additional crimes as well. So denying these despicable thugs access to Texas will severely hinder their ability to wreak havoc in the lives of all Texans and Americans. This is another reason why Border Patrol is vital to public safety and not just national security, and why we support them. To that end, these additional Texas National Guard troops will be seamlessly incorporated into our operational plan and assigned to various missions that will maximize their impact. fight to secure the border is on the border and nowhere else. You saddle it, you secure it at the river, above it, and along it. They'll be right there on the water's edge, along with troopers, agents, and Texas Rangers working with our Border Patrol partners. And the mission is simply to deter all criminal activity and transnational crime between the ports of entry. These troops will be assigned to posts, and we call them observation posts, or specific areas of responsibility with commissioned law enforcement officers. So when the conditions warrant and they encounter individuals committing crimes, those law enforcement officers may take appropriate law enforcement action at that time, including making arrests. And we already do this. As I've mentioned before, we integrate them in our Ranger recon operations, and it works very well. It is also important to note that throughout this operation, if our law enforcement officers come into contact with individuals who are admittedly or suspected to be in the country illegally, they'll continue to immediately refer those individuals to the appropriate federal authorities. In this case, it's a Border Patrol, and they always do. And the challenge is that, what does a criminal alien look like? It looks like an American. That's what a criminal alien looks like, and that's what we refer it to the proper federal authorities. We are grateful for the governor's leadership and the leadership of Lieutenant Governor Dewhurst, General Abbott, Speaker Strauss, and the Texas legislature for their continued efforts to keep our state safe. Texans have a right to live in their communities free from harm and fear of danger from Mexican cartels, violent gangs, and other threats directly related to an unsecured border with Mexico. One metric we haven't mentioned and talked about is the number of citizens that are now coming and approaching our troopers in the area of operation. They're concerned that their parents' house, other locations have been used as a stash house for human and drugs. They've been afraid to speak up, and that's why it's important to be there. We'll continue working with our local and state federal partners, and now these additional Texas National Guardsmen along the border to carry out our mission of protecting and serving the people of Texas. Thank you, Governor.
As Governor Perry stated, we're always and always will be fully supportive of Texas Department of Public Service, be it a crisis such as this, a hurricane, a flood, or a fire. We're going to support their ongoing operation to secure the southern border. So within the next 30 days, we're going to mobilize approximately 1,000 Texas National Guard members and some elements of the State Guard to go forward. We will go to the border as force multipliers for DPS. It's already there. We'll also help them secure the border with the governor in accordance with the governor's request. Our mission, similar to other missions, has been ongoing. This mission is just another time for us to go to the border. We currently have forces helping Customs and Border Patrol, but we're going to help DPS in their Operation Strong Safety. Their objectives are to combat the pervasive criminal elements operating along the border and to prevent them from crossing into the United States territory. Under my command and in coordination and very tight coordination with Director McCraw and the DPS, we're going to direct our National Guard members to go help them enhance security, amplifying visible presence, so we're going to be very visibly present along the border and along the river. We're going to work alongside law enforcement officials. We're going to help them detect and prevent criminals from infiltrating through the international border. And then we're also going to help ensure the safety of our fellow Texans. The National Guard supported various state and federal operations along the border during my tenure, to include some local operations like Operation Lone Star, where we help the citizens of the South Texas area, the Rio Grande Valley. We've been on Operation Jumpstart in the past, and we've been on Operation Phalanx. So we've had Texas military presence on the border in the past. In all cases, we've used our training and our equipment and our experience to help secure. In this case, we are truly a force multiplication effort. We're going to help DPS do our job, and that's the job of Texas, is to protect the Texas border. We'll have our guardsmen at the highest level of readiness. We're going to start immediate training to run them through any kind of training drills that we anticipate we might encounter in the field. And then we're going to prepare ourselves for a supporting role. So I want to make that very, very specific. We support DPS. We support civil authority. We are the National Guard. We're your citizens, soldiers, and airmen. Here, we're your Texas brethren. We live next door to you. We work with you. And in times of need, we come to your aid. We're simply doing that. We're ready and willing at all times to serve our state, our nation, as citizens of Texas. Thank you for your time.